Am I the butthole for spraying my arm with no-chew dog spray so my stepsister wouldn't lick it anymore? So I have a step-sibling that is on the spectrum. One of the big issues she has is that she licks everything and everyone. It's some sort of sensory thing. She has a special therapist that's supposed to help with this problem. They've told my dad and stepmom to get her interested in licking other things. For example, she has these special bracelets and necklaces she wears for licking. My dad and stepmom say they've helped a lot with the issue, but every single time I have to come to visit she gets too close to me and licks me. It's gross and makes me uncomfortable. My dad and stepmom know it makes me uncomfortable and will pull her away when she does this, but she will inevitably lick me again multiple times while I'm there. On a side note, we got a new puppy at my mom's house. He has been having trouble with chewing furniture. We got this special no-chew spray that we sprayed on the legs of the furniture. Our puppy pretty much stopped chewing the furniture immediately. So the next time I had to go to my dad's I decided to try spraying my arms and neck with the no-chew spray before I left. Within 20 minutes of being at my dad's place my stepsister licks me. This time though she pulls away fast, makes this face, and starts freaking out. Anyway, my dad and stepmom got mad at me about it. They said what I did was mean and demeaning. But their stuff wasn't working at all and didn't make any difference when I was there. The spray did work though because she didn't try to lick me or get too much into my personal space again until days later. After she tried to lick me, again my dad said I better not use the spray again. I said if they got her to stop licking me the spray wouldn't bother her. Then he said he would take me straight back home if it happened again. I said that I just wouldn't come back over there anymore. I didn't talk to him or anyone else for the rest of the trip. Since I've gotten home, he's called me a few times and I have ignored all the calls. I've listened to a few voicemails he's left though. They're basically all saying the same thing, that this isn't how I'm supposed to treat family and I need to make exceptions and be understanding of my stepsister. Edit. Since I'm getting a lot of comments now I'm going to just answer questions that haven't been asked already. Edit 2. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be missing a lot of your guys' comments. Each time a new one comes in my phone scrolls up to the top and I have to scroll all the way back down. Not the butthole, you're allowed to not be licked. It would seem your stepsister is more capable of correcting her own behavior than her parents are expecting of her if your no-chew spray method worked for a few days. Their behavior needs correcting too, and removing yourself from a situation that makes you uncomfortable seems to make a lot of sense here. Keeping one family member comfortable at the expense of another isn't what families are supposed to do, either. Was going to say this. Sounds like it isn't an uncontrollable behavior since the taste deterrent of the spray immediately worked better than everything they and the therapist have done. Exactly. They are most likely babying her and forcing others to deal with her issues and habits because she can't help it. When original poster just proved all it took was a consequence for her own action for her to make the cognitive connection that licking equals gross. She is obviously aware of cause and reaction, which means she's not as helpless as it seems the parents think she is. While I'm not encouraging using dog deterrent sprays for other people with kids who lick things, if it works it works. As long as you're not making them chug a bottle of the stuff every time they lick something or something. I'm agreeing with this. I'm a parent of a special needs kid, and one attitude I saw a lot of when going to events with other parents of special needs kids as well, /he is special. /he just does that. People are just going to have to understand. I wonder how many times I unwittingly did that myself while my child was growing up. A lady who volunteered at my son's horse therapy program told me something that stuck with me growing up. It's not a special world they are going into. What is going to happen if the parents are not around anymore and you have a 30-year-old woman who runs around licking people? How many strangers are going to be understanding because she's special? Sounds like it would benefit her if everyone in the household sprayed their arms. I have met a grown man walking around grabbing women's boobs because he's never been corrected away from that behavior because they're special and we must make concessions. When my son hit puberty, we actually had issues with breasts. Not grabbing but excessive staring and going in for hugs like he was deep sea diving. I was terrified until we got those behaviors under control. It didn't help that my ex, his bio father, thought it was hilarious. That is horrible. However, the term deep sea diving does make it sound quite comical. It gave me a little chuckle at the imagery. I feel you here. My boy is on the spectrum, so are his siblings, but he's more affected, and we're working on him with boundaries way ahead of puberty because I know it will be an issue. He's such a huggy/touchy kid, and the bigger he gets the less it will be tolerated. And he's big for his age, people already assume he's older than he is. It's an uphill battle but needs to be done, or he will be in a world of trouble as a teen/adult even if he isn't doing anything nefarious. It's only funny for the sole reason that the behavior was corrected. So he's allowed to sexually assault women because he's special needs. That happened to me when the boy and I were both about 8 years old. A special needs boy had a habit of trying to peek under girls' dresses or skirts. First time I met him was when he was tying his shoe beside me in the yard, and tried to look up my skirt. I kicked him in the face and got in a lot of trouble because he didn't know any better. He never bothered me again, so I severely doubt that. I suspect it was the lack of consequences. Oh, goodness, don't get me started. One of the Downs kids at the college where I work would come in for hugs, kisses. The last incident was when he smelled my hair and told me he bet all the boys were after me. I'm an abuse survivor, and hearing that this 35-year-old man was harmless didn't help in the slightest. He's gone now, luckily, but I get panicky every time I catch a glimpse of someone dressed like him. Wow. I'm sorry you had to go through that, especially being an abuse survivor. Apparently, the way the law works here, there's no point in reporting him either. That's just not right. There needs to be a way to help people with special needs without making them feel like they're predators or worthless, but you just can't let people do anything to others because they have special needs, especially when intimate things like touching, licking, or even sexual harassment is involved. Competent behavior analysis make them a plan when the behavior starts, or they are showing signs an inappropriate behavior will start. Then competent careers, whether that at the family or a paid staff like me, implement it. If you don't have a team of people who will look out for the person and try to have teaching moments and active engagement, that is when you run into individuals who just do whatever. A lot of people with these types of disabilities are being failed by their circle of support. I had an individual that did this. He was in a chair and spoke using a letter board, and was pretty pervy. Don't get me wrong, he was very sweet as well, but no one ever really got on him for saying sexual things and trying to grope women. Well, one day we were in a store and he tried to grab a 15-year-old's butt. I happened to see it and ran over with the individual I was assigned to and intervened. The girl's dad was rightfully angry and started to tell him off. My boss tried to stop the guy, but I told her not to, that this was important for him to hear. I had begged for a plan to be put in place for months, and 2 weeks after that incident they finally got their crap together and did so. So he was conditioned that assault of another human being was okay for him because special. This is deeply disturbing. As a school standard, when the behavior is unsafe for others, the concession is to keep the needs child away from the public until they learn. The idea that this man is in public harming others? Those parents need to face consequences. In high school, a student on the spectrum grabbed my boobs in gym class, in front of all the other students and 2 PE teachers. When I asked what they were going to do about it, they said he didn't know any better. This happened several additional times through the rest of the school year, and each time they brushed it off. As an adult, I realized that I should have gone above them since they were unwilling to deal with the issue. Yeah, then they touch children sexually and traumatize a child. It happens when people aren't taught, no matter how difficult, that certain things can't be done. I bet a lot that he knew it wrong, was perfectly well in control. But why stop when no one did anything about it? I think it's actually demeaning not to teach/encourage appropriate social behaviors. You're saying 1, they can't learn, 2, they need to be coddled, 3, their dignity is different. It may be an impulse, but the parents need to put in the work. Not the butthole. Side note, my youngest daughter is not on the spectrum, but struggles with inappropriate behaviors. It's a lot better when this stuff comes from home than coming from peers. Believe me. Agreed. This is a clear case where the parents have coddled one child because the child is on the spectrum rather than using more unpleasant, but still safe, methods of correcting the child's behavior, possibly because doing so would take more work on the part of the parents. I grew up with a special needs brother who was also on the spectrum, and my parents let him get away with completely unacceptable behavior because he's on the spectrum and he can't help it, often at my expense because you have it so much easier. Depending on her age and cognitive function level, I wouldn't necessarily classify your stepsister as an But your dad and his wife certainly are Oz when they aren't enforcing very basic boundaries regarding personal space and consent. You also have to figure that if this really is a case of her not being able to help herself, then she's a very high risk of being molested. You'd think that they would want to curb that behavior as much as possible, which would start with curbing her doing it at home, even if the other person isn't a harm risk. Especially if that person has told her and the parents that they want her to stop. This is such a good point. I wish I could upvote it more than once. Special needs kids are already at much higher risk of being sexually abused. Adding to that risk is not a good idea. Yeah, I assume there are already things she doesn't lick like toilet seats or soap. Original poster has just put themselves in the category of things that aren't fun to lick. When people are on the spectrum, it may be difficult for her to understand that licking people makes them angry. The very instinctual reaction of finding something to taste bad, however, may be able to register, at least partially, for her. It just depends on how her neurodivergence works, and how far on the spectrum she is. I wouldn't automatically say that the behavior is completely correctable, or that she can completely control it. However, that also does not mean that steps should not be taken to attempt to do so. Also, it's not like the spray was dangerous to stepsister. She didn't get hurt or sick, all she got was a bad taste and a bad experience that'll hopefully teach her a lesson. It's also still COVID, so extra gross and dangerous. This is a genius way, emo, to stop the behavior. Bravo. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. This is actually a pretty clever solution. They said what I did was mean and demeaning. You know what else is demeaning? Having people effing lick you like a dog and to be expected to just tolerate it. Having people effing lick you like a dog and to be expected to just tolerate it. Especially during a respiratory viral pandemic. I was saying this in my reply. This is such dangerous habit. Especially during a respiratory viral pandemic. This was my first thought. Yikes. I think it's also demeaning of her dad to treat the stepsister like she can't learn proper behavior. Just because she's on the spectrum doesn't mean she's not smart, and they're doing her a huge disservice by not trying to teach her. Obviously, whatever current methods they're using aren't working, and trying to force everyone else to just live with it is not the right answer. This girl's parents aren't going to be there forever, then what? They're trying, but it's incomplete. Pretty classic management technique for problematic impulse: redirect the behavior, which they're trying with the jewelry, and create negative and immediate associations with the impulse when you do succumb to it. It definitely would have been better if it wasn't a surprise, but I understand that wasn't an option for original poster with these adults. It's just too bad they're not continuing with this because it's harmless and it works. Exactly. Someone should have the parents watch the original movie The Miracle Worker and note how the parents expect nothing from their blind, deaf daughter Helen Keller. They let her wander around scooping food from others' plates and cramming it into her mouth because she's not capable of learning better. And of course, she is. But not from those parents. I'm autistic, but I still have a mind and mostly common sense. Maybe my methods are a little obscure as to how I circumvent life in social situations, but I still know the importance of not getting into people's personal spaces. My mother always said, "Don't do anything you wouldn't want done to you," and I stuck with it. This problem is unfortunately extremely common, though. Parents hear autistic and they give up on their child having a halfway normal life due to their own misconceptions. Sad. The kid had to spray his neck too. The thought of some kid, even my sister who I love dearly, licking my neck makes me want to vomit. I think I'd almost instinctively hit/slap/shove anyone who did that, not in like an I am very badass way, but in a WTF is that? Get it off freak out. For real, in my own experience my neck is sensitive in a sexual way, not to be creepy on this post, just giving context, so if I was in ops position and a kid tried to lick my neck it would skeeve me out so bad. You're not creepy at all, it is for most people, and I was trying to figure out how to phrase the same idea. Not the butthole. My neck is extremely sensitive in a fight or flight way. So there'd be at least a 50% chance that kid would get smacked hella hard and it would honestly be nobody's fault but her damn, coddling parents. Not the butthole. If the stepsister did that to the wrong person, it could end very badly for all parties. And it doesn't even end well for anybody now. Those parents are failing 2 kids and every poor random soul that girl licks because they're too lazy to do the work of being, effing parents. Licking necks is basically always 100% sexual between humans who aren't autistic. I mean, I can't imagine a situation in which it wasn't. I don't even tolerate people's dogs licking me. And you know what? All of the dogs have stopped trying to lick me. A little sniff and maybe one tiny tip of tongue. They were told no a couple of times and it stopped. Clearly the parents are caving in all the time, so no doesn't mean no. No means keep trying until I get tired of saying no. That was my first thought, lol. Being licked around, as an object, is one of the most demeaning things I can think of. The dad lives in the twilight zone if he thinks a harmless solution to that problem is the problem. Going off of this, what do the people that live full time with her do? Just let her lick them, or have they figured something else out to deter her? If they have figured something out, why can't they apply that technique to you? Not the butthole. Other people's rights end at your body. God, I love the way you worded that. Perfectly said. What a crafty father, unsuccessfully teaching his child they don't have control of who touches their own body. This will be really difficult to take back and counter, as Original Poster gets older. Thankfully, Original Poster seems self-directed and not taking that BS. I'd be more worried if Original Poster didn't. Not the butthole. Thankfully, Original Poster seems to be an adult who doesn't live at home. I'd be really worried if there were any other younger siblings being taught that their consent doesn't matter. Definitely not the butthole here. Your dad is a terrible parent to both of you, for not respecting your body autonomy and for not making enough effort to teach your sister properly. I took it as Original Poster being younger, at least under 18, because Original Poster said they live with her mom sometimes, which is where the dog spray came from, and dad other times. Seems they both have custody in some way. Either way, screw the dad. I love this. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.